Hello, everyone. Welcome to my presentation for PyOhio 2021. Learn Jupyter Notebook Python by modeling your game data. Virtual, of course, but I'm very happy to be participating. My name is Craig Lang, and I am interested in many programming languages and technologies. When learning some new technology, I have found it seems to sink in better if I use a practical example. In this quick demo, I will show how I took video game data and used it to learn the Python Pandas library in a Jupyter Notebook. I aim to show that deeper learning of a new technology can happen when a practical application is used. Before we discuss the technology, I must first give background on the video game. ACNH, which is an acronym for Animal Crossing New Horizons, is a game where the player explores and lives on an island where they interact with other islanders, shopkeepers, and island administrators. One of the tasks that can be performed on this island is the buying and selling of turnips. Yes, turnip the vegetable. On Sundays, the turnips are bought using a currency of bells, and then throughout the week, the turnips can be sold. The buy price fluctuates throughout the week. The goal is to buy low and sell high, just like the stock market. Each week, the buy price fits a type of pattern, either declining, small spike, large spike, or fluctuating. I thought this would be a good application of using the Python Pandas library. I was also interested in using the Jupyter Notebook tool to contain this Python work and display plotted data, which is turnip prices in bells during the week. The Pandas library is a data analysis and manipulation tool. The Jupyter Notebook is a web page based application that allows you to enter live code, equations, visualizations, and descriptive text in a presentation format. Let's see the Jupyter Notebook and Pandas at work. Here is an example of a markdown cell. Here is an example of a code cell. In the first code cell, we set up the imports and plot library settings. The second cell contains all that is needed to have Pandas read the CSV file. Commas are specified as the delimiter. The data is then contained in a data frame instance called df. In cell 3, we simply have the notebook display the data frame in order to look at the data that has been read. Here you can see that we have a row for each week worth of turnip data, the buy price, and the prices throughout the week. Note the not and number entries. We will deal with those in a moment. In cell 4, we query the data types of the columns in order to check if they are numerical and therefore plottable. Integer and float types are what we need, but that last column for display is a bool, so we will want to discard that to make this process easier. In cell 5, we clean up the data by dropping the display column and by dropping any row that consists solely of not a number entries. This provides us with valid data to work with. Looking at a summary of the data frame in cell 6 before we attempt to plot to make sure that the data is structured as we expect. Now cell 7 is where the business of plotting happens. We iterate through the data frame one row at a time and plot each series. Note that we are able to use Pandas to set the plot title, turn on a grid, specify a marker, and even add a legend. The next two lines modify the legend and grid even further. This last line saves the plot out to a file. Now we have our turnip prices modeled and can begin to determine if the performance was a spike, decreasing, or mildly fluctuating. From this point, we could go much further to do even more analysis. After this project, I felt that I learned much more about the tools, especially the Pandas library, for the processing and analysis of data. I could have done a few tutorials, but this was data of a personal nature, and therefore the process and the output were more important to me. This was a project that was done over a week in portions. Of course, you are seeing the final product. There were many iterations, fixes, and a few restarts along the way. I hope this might show that a practical personal application of a technology will help you learn it in a way that it remains learned. Thank you for virtually attending my PyOhio presentation, and I know that you will enjoy the rest of the presentations.